Hello and welcome to my channel, Art with Lexi. Today we are going to be drawing a koi fish. This is a fun and colorful class. Of course, you can use any colors you want. I'm going to use brown, black, orange, and red. We're going to work on using shading so that we can get out of one colored pencil every single shade, from the darkest to the lightest of just that one color. As always, feel free to pause as you go along. Just follow step by step and take breaks as needed. Let's go ahead and get started. Now to start, we need to draw the body of the fish, and this is like a comma. Just keep in mind that you'll need room for the tail below the body. You can see the example here. Now most importantly, you need to do this very lightly. I'm going to use brown for the body of my fish, so that's the color I'm going to use for these first few steps. I've outlined the shape in black because it's very hard to see my actual drawing. It's very, very light, so you need to use light pressure, pushing down, not hard at all. Now we need to draw the backbone. And this is a line that splits the fish in half. You can go all the way from the tail up to about where the head would be. So it doesn't go all the way along the body. It should stop just a few inches before the end of the head. Again, keep it very light and use light pressure. The next thing that we need to sketch out are all of the spots. I'm still using brown, but again, I'm going to keep it very, very light, so that way I can cover these spots with other colors. You can put the spots wherever you want. This is one place where you get to be creative and use your own personality to put the spots wherever you want. They can overlap the side, overlap each other, they can be right in the middle. Wherever you want your spots to be, go for it. You can also draw the tail. And the tail, of course, goes at the end of the body. The tail is a bit like a triangle, but each side of the triangle is a bit wavy. So go ahead and add the tail to the end of the body when you've also added the spots. Now we're going to start shading, and we're going to shade chunk by chunk, section by section. So you can see as I go through my pictures, I slowly work along the side, just going along section by section along the side of the body. We're going to try to get the color of the body of the fish to go from dark to light. So it needs to be dark right along the edge and get lighter and lighter as you go in towards the middle. The way that we do this is by controlling the pressure of the pencil on the paper. The harder you push, the darker the color. The lighter you push, the lighter the color. So you start by working on one section, pushing down really, really hard, getting it really dark. And as you go back and forth, you slowly move towards the center. And as you slowly move towards the center, you use less pressure, less pressure, less pressure, so that it gets lighter and lighter and lighter, and it fades out. So always from hard pressure to light pressure. You can see that, again, I will go chunk by chunk, section by section, working first along the side, pushing down hard. And as I go back and forth, and I slowly move in towards the center, I get lighter and lighter, again, by lessening up on the pressure. When you're getting towards the center of the fish, it should be so light that you're barely touching the paper. You can continue to work all the way around your fish. So of course, here's my example. Again, I'm always making it dark along the edge of the fish and light towards the middle. Always going from hard pressure to light pressure. And you will have to go back and forth, maybe over the same area multiple times in order to get a really smooth gradient. make sure you use the tip of the pencil to do this shading. You don't want to use the side because then the pencil won't get into the grain of the paper. If you use the tip of the pencil, you'll get a little bit of a smoother finish because the pencil is getting into that texture of the paper. I'm also being conscious of not making too much separation between my chunks, so you can overlap the same area multiple times in order to disguise these chunks or these sections. Now, where this gradient ends exactly is up to you. So you can have your color fade out very, very quickly, and then your fish will look like a really, really light shade of that color. Or you can bring that color almost all the way to the middle, and it will look more bright or like a darker version of your color. So it's up to you exactly where you want the color to fade out. Once you finish shading the sides of the fish, now you can do the backbone. We're going to attack the backbone the exact same way that we attacked the sides. We're going to shade, going back and forth, moving from hard pressure to light pressure. And we need to go from dark to light, where the exact line of the backbone is dark, and then it fades as you go to the right, as you go away from the backbone. Again, you can do section by section or chunk by chunk and work along the backbone so that you have a very distinct, clear line, and then it fades, it gets lighter as you go away from that line. Now we need to start working on the spots. This is another place where you have total artistic freedom. You can make your spots whatever color you want. You can make the colors overlapping. You can make every spot a different color or all the spots the same color. It's totally up to you. I'm going to make my spots red and orange, and I'm going to intersperse them so they're kind of randomly some red and some orange. Now, how I'm doing this actual shading is that I'm making the edge of each spot dark and the middle of each spot a little bit lighter. So you can see that I work along the edge, I go around the spot pushing down really, really hard, and then as I work away from the edge towards the middle of the spot, I use less and less pressure. So we're creating some color variation. It's dark around the outside and it's lighter towards the middle. Of course, I will attack each spot one by one until eventually all the spots are filled in. Feel free, again, to use any colors you like, and you can also use multiple colors in one spot. So for example, if I wanted to use some yellow, I would incorporate it in the middle of the spot. What this would look like is one spot might be orange around the edge, fading to yellow in the middle. So get crazy with it and get colorful with it. You can use the colors however you see fit. Now let's do the eyes. We're going to use black for the eyes, and we need to outline the shape first. So the shape is a bit like a half circle. It's not right at the front of the head, but it's a little bit off to the side. So I'm just starting by drawing the basic outline of each eyeball. Then we need to set aside a light reflection. The light reflection needs to stay white. So I'm drawing a little slit or a little crescent shape on each eyeball. Now, inside of these two crescent shapes will stay white. I won't touch them. Everything outside of those shapes can get shaded in black. So you end up with something that looks a bit like this. Very, very dark black eyeballs with two tiny light reflections that are white. And this will make the eyes look totally like real eyeballs, and it makes them shine. So go ahead and draw your eyeballs. If you're not sure about the size, I always recommend to make them a little bit smaller, because you can always make the eyes a bit bigger if you decide to do so later on. If you make the eyeballs too big, you can't make them any smaller. The next thing that we're going to attack are the fins. My fins flare out a bit. So they're narrow close to the body, and then they widen and flare out as they go away from the body. Of course, in order to make them look flowing, every line of the fin is just a bit curvy or wavy. Once you draw the basic outline of the fins, now we can shade. I'm using brown, that's the color for the body of my fish, but you can use any color you like. We need the color to go from dark to light, and it needs to be dark right where the fin attaches to the body. So the first step is to go along the body, pushing down really, really hard so that you get that color really dark right where the fin attaches to the body. As you can see, I go back and forth, moving away from the body and getting lighter and lighter and lighter. So again, we're trying to get a gradient where this color goes from dark to light. And we do that by going from hard pressure to light pressure. Once we do the shading, we need to add some texture. And we're going to add some wispy hair-like lines to the fin to make it look like it's flowing. The trick here is that they're not meant to be all the same shape, the same size, or the same darkness. They are meant to be wispy. You can flick or drag your pencil off of the paper as you do each of these lines so that you get that tapering end. You can do some lines coming from the end of the fin and a few coming from the top or in the middle. And of course, we need to do this to both fins. So go ahead and add some of these wispy hair-like lines for texture on each of the fins. Now we can work on the tail. Now the tail is the same exact steps as the fins. So we need to start by using the color of the body of the fish and making it fade from dark to light. So it's dark where the fin attaches to the body, and it gets lighter and lighter so that it fades away as you go away from the body. So do that gradient, dark, hard pressure where the fin attaches to the body, getting lighter and lighter with less pressure as you move down the tail. Then you can also add some lines for texture. Because the tail is a little bit bigger, I can make these lines a bit longer and darker. But as always, they're meant to show that the tail is flowing. So they're not all the same length, they curve and wave in different ways, and some of them have shadows, some of them are darker, some of them are lighter. Once you've added the texture of the tail, the final step for our koi fish is adding a shadow. Now the shadow needs to be along one side of the fish. In my case, it's on the left side. You can see that we will go again, section by section, chunk by chunk, and we're going to fade this shadow color from dark to light. Now I'm using black for my shadow color. You can use any color you like. Black or gray are great options. Dark brown is great as well. You can even use blue and it will look a bit like water. So use any color you like. Again, we go from hard pressure to light pressure, from dark to light. So you can work along the body of the fish one section at a time, pushing down really, really hard when you're along the body, and you go back and forth, getting lighter and lighter and lighter as you move incrementally away from the body. So go along one side of the fish. Again, working really hard, pushing it down right along the body of the fish, using less and less pressure as you move away from the fish. And this will make it look like your fish is floating, like it's swimming through the water. It adds so much depth, and this is a technique that you can use in a lot of other pieces of art. Of course, once you're done, sign your name. It's your beautiful artwork, and you worked hard on it. Now you have a great sketch of a koi fish. You've worked on some texture, and most importantly, you've worked on shading, getting one pencil to go from dark to light so that you get every shade out of just one color. I hope you enjoy this class. Join me again for future classes. And if you enjoy my sketch classes, make sure to follow me here on YouTube and on Instagram at Lexi Mitchell Artist.